Union is humble and genuine. It's given us all this opportunity to do our dream job.
It's the whole idea of it, the whole concept, the fact that it's a non-profit, the fact that it's non-elitist.
It's just a true development programme for staff and riders to excel in the world of World Cup downhill racing.
We're not aiming to be a factory team, but we're definitely not a privateer team. We're somewhere in the middle, trying to just be that stepping stone.
The whole environment of the team is what drew me to it. It was good people.
No pressure at all, and you're all there just sort of getting by and making it happen.
Oh! To me, the best thing about the Union is just the beauty that goes on within all of the chaos.
The Union's a one-of-a-kind, non-profit race programme solely focused on the development of both riders and staff on the World Cup circuit. It's always been people and environment focused from the start, with a grassroots mentality that's always outperformed its bank balance. Racing World Cups is an expensive and hard path to follow, especially these days. The minimum level of support needed to be competitive now is at the point where deserving talents might start to fall through the cracks, I think. The Union's aim was to fill that void, giving a leg up to those who deserved it. I always wanted it to be more than just another team though, creating a brand instead, with a crew of individuals that people could really relate to and root for. I think everyone loves an underdog story, and we've been barking pretty loudly for 4 years now. So, why start the Union? How do you make it different? Steel Seat Media came about thanks to World Cup racing back in 2012. Starting the Union was my way of giving back to the scene that had a massive part on my life and gave me a huge opportunity.
So yeah, me and my younger brother, we kind of had a little rough around the edges UCI team, and we had the pleasure of meeting Jobo. I think it was in 2020, the Swedish summer. He had this grand idea of always helping out privateers, and then we had sort of something, a car and a bit of a pit setup already here in Europe.
Kind of went home thinking just like, oh man, maybe it makes sense to just pitch to him that we come in and give him our backing and we rebrand their little team as something hopefully bigger and try and pull in more support and just start from there.
Stuff you dream of. You see the kid printed in logos and names, the jerseys, and yeah, we got it.
We always wanted to focus on having a young crew, both staff and riders wise, and I think that energy they gave off really drew people to the programme.
Chris!
The goal was to always try and be that team that every young ripper hoped to be on one day. Our average age in 23 was just 21 years old, which is amazing until you need to try and rent a car or pack up an Airbnb anywhere in the world.
Home time, innit?
We always got asked, how do you pick them? But I think it's more like, why didn't you guys pick them? Natural talent's always important, but if people aren't happy or comfortable in their environment, the results probably won't come. We always went for the person first, not just the talent.
It's pretty unique. Even the boys, like Josh and Connor, they're 20. Like the work days that they pull and the extra mile and their awareness of the riders' needs and even the riders, like they help. Like that's a real union thing. They don't just come in and they're like, "Ah, everything's they're loading the vans, they're like helping clear bits up. They're really present with things, and when things need adapting to, they're very good with that. And yeah, I don't know how, yeah, it's Jobo picking the right mix, but everyone's present and at the table, if that makes sense.
I remember that day the first Easy Up turned up at our office. It was a, oh shit, we're doing it kind of moment. After meeting with Ollie and Benny Zoir the previous summer in Sweden, we somehow now had ourselves a team of 5 riders and a mechanic going into 21. We were rough around the edges for sure, but that was perfect in so many ways. We lent on everyone we knew, pulling in every favour Steel City had built up over the years to make sure we had the basics to go racing, making it up as we went along on a budget of 14 grand that barely covered the accommodation for a crew of 6 to get around the World Cup circuit.
Some races we were 3 in one tiny room. Lockie and I just parked up on the floor race night. I think it just kept it fun, kept us humble and honest.
Beds were shared, tyres were ran for multiple rounds. We'd made it all happen at the 11th hour. There was a lot of hype buzzing around the team and the results were way bigger than our budget should have allowed. Those following 2 seasons was when things really started to blow up though. But when Lockie got his first podium in Leogang, it also seemed to just fuel the rest of the riders too. It was like someone flicked a switch. Kept raising that bar we'd set ourselves. The Union train was full steam ahead. Riders moving on to bigger things was always part of the deal with the Union. I'd never really saw it as a sad thing because it was just another pit we could go hang out in and another opportunity to give someone else a shot. People are what made the Union different. Being approachable, laid back, but also getting shit done when it mattered seemed to be the magic formula. We weren't really ever afraid to take a bit of a punt on someone either, purely because we got a good feeling from them. It's not just been about developing the riders though. I'm really proud that none of our staff ever had any World Cup experience before they started working for us. Everyone always went above and beyond because they believed in the team and made the most of it all between the chaos too. I'm probably most proud of how we always tried to give the riders time to grow though, because everyone peaks at different times. Ollie Zoir was in his 8th elite season before getting those results in 22. Ollie Davies and Lockie came back from huge injuries to have their best seasons to date. Downhill racing's big business, and not every team can do this, which is why we had the edge, I think. Taking on first-year juniors is a big responsibility. So in 23, when we picked up a 16-year-old gangly Hauser who didn't speak English at the time, I kind of remember wondering if we'd bitten off a bit more than we could chew. Junior practice at his first World Cup, I remember getting hammered with messages afterwards with people asking, "Who's that junior kid on Union?" Problem was though, he was going through parts that we didn't have. I think his first practice run alone, he went through a front wheel, bash guard and pedal. Me and Jim kept having crisis talks whether we should tell him to back it off or not before finals day, which would have been a huge call. but I'm pretty glad we didn't. When the union started, I never really thought we'd be challenging for wins at the World Cups. But as we went from season to season, we stopped just attending and started actually competing at the top with the big dogs, almost without realising. Every season, we've developed a top 3 junior and/or top 10 elite riders to date, all on a budget that couldn't even sustain a working van most of the time. Everything apart from the ethos changed for 24. It was pretty touch and go whether the team was going to happen or not at one point, but ironically, we ended up with the most dialed back and most successful season we'd ever had. There were so many times this season when we kept asking ourselves, what is going on? In a good way. This isn't meant to happen.
Out of this guy yesterday, kind of surprised.
Lockie 1.1 up on Bruni on a potential winning run in Poland.
All right. Season sweet. Oh, man.
Ellie's shown she's a force to be reckoned with in her first season, taking out the whole women's field in Val d'Isole. Racing isn't easy, especially when you realise you've got the form to be challenging for the win each week. All we tried to do though is just be there for the riders. Take away as many variables as possible, but at the end of the day, when they leave the gate, it's all on them. When Lockie was sat in that hot seat at Mont Saint Anne, as Troy was coming towards the line, last man down, I remember thinking, win or not, we can't really top this season. Lockie, for me, personifies what the union's always been about. Seeing him go from a scrawny kid with highlights sleeping on our floor to being a World Cup contender, especially after all those injuries in between, is pretty much a job done in my eyes. That mixture of menace and focus is going to be so good to watch in the coming years, along with all the other union faces that now populate teams all over the pits. Next season, downhill's entering a bit of a new era, and I don't think it's one that necessarily fits the union's original ethos. I feel like the team's become a victim of its own success in the best way possible. And even though it's sad, I feel like it's perfect time to stop. The way I look at it, it's kind of like your favourite TV show ending. And even though I'm going to miss it loads, I'm really glad we're getting it out at the top. It's honestly been the best thing I've ever done. And I couldn't be prouder of the crew and everything we've achieved over the years. Thanks to everyone who's been a part of it and everyone who's had our back. Time to catch up on some sleep, I think.
You boys helped me get to where I am today. And yeah, I just love you boys.
No, it's straight. Motherfucker got 8. That's fucking insane. Let's go.
It's just on a wheel.
Oh, absolutely.
You're a flag. That's sick, dude.
Buckets, baby.
Ready? Right, dude.
I did.
Right there!